Hi, I'm Dr. David Dobson. Welcome to Conversations. Today, my guest is Yifan Wu. Yifan is a PhD candidate in social science at the University of Antwerp. Her PhD research explores the relationship between social media use and mental health. Today, we will discuss Yifan's ongoing PhD research and her PhD journey. It's a pleasure to have you on my show, Yifan.
Hi, David. Nice to meet you.
Yifan, your doctoral research focuses on the relationship between social media use and mental health. What brought your interest to this topic?
I think one I why I choose this topic because I think from my perspective, I think nowadays in China,
Mhm,
Chinese economy is very developed, but I
mhm,
found that lots of people has the mental disorders.
mhm,
For example, many of my friends always told me that even they can earn lots of money every month, but they cannot have a good sleep every night, and they have some anxiety symptoms.
mhm,
When I was teaching at university, I also
mhm,
found lots of my students, they also have mental health like anxiety, depression, lots of this kind of cases. So I
mhm,
found that mental health is really a very important issue in nowadays of
mhm,
China.
mhm,
I surfed the internet. I found the in 2023
mhm,
Chinese mental health report. It has a record of the data. In China, in 2023, nearly 1 billion people have depression disorders, and 2.3 billion people have mental health disorders. And among lots of mental health disorder people, lots of them are young people. We
mhm,
can see that among the middle school students, especially the high school students, 40% of high school students have depression disorders. So it's such a huge population.
mhm,
So I can see young people is such important generation
mhm,
in current society, and the loss
mhm,
of adults also have mental health disorders. So we
mhm,
must pay a great attention for
mhm,
mental health. So
mhm,
as a media and a communication
mhm,
scholar, I
mhm,
started to choose mental health
mhm,
as my focus uh,
mhm,
re- research.
mhm.
So that's why I choose mental health.
Yeah, and yeah, you're right. Like it's a huge issue, especially among young people, the use of the social media and the effect on the mental health. Do you know why that's the case? Like why especially the younger people, as you mentioned, the university students or including teenagers, are more affected by the social media than any other generation?
I think maybe I think the reasons might be that in current situation, because I don't know how about in Europe or in Canada, but
Hmm.
from my observation, I think the young people here don't have such a stressful study
Mm,
as in China, because if Chinese students they wanted to get involved in the university, they
mm,
must get admitted while Gaokao is a kind
mm,
of
mm,
admission examination.
mm,
It's a kind of large population
mm.
in China, but only a small portion of them can get admitted to the university. So it
Okay.
means that their study is very stressful. And
Mm,
on the other reason, I think lots of young students, their social circle is very small. When they have
mm,
some mental health problems,
mm,
they
mm.
cannot uh, tell their issues with
Yeah,
their friends or
yeah.
parents, so they
Mm,
can only solve by themselves.
mm,
So sometimes I also found that they will
mm,
post the text on the Weibo, on the Chinese social media, as a kind of a way to convey their feelings. So I think maybe these reasons are the why the young people are have such lots of mental health problems.
Yeah, you mentioned very important point because this topic is a taboo topic, and even though people probably suffering about it, but they don't feel comfortable sharing what they're going through,
Yeah.
and that's why sometimes by not sharing, they may not able to get the treatment or support they need.
Yes.
Okay.
That's why I found that social media is such an important platform for them, because if
Yeah.
their social circle is such small,
Yeah.
they cannot tell their problems
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
friends, to parents.
Yeah.
They can
Yeah.
only say something on social media.
Yeah. 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 Good point. So, Yifan, can you tell me how you are conducting your research?
Mm. Well, I conducting my research. I am in Muse. Well, currently I am in the Muse Research Group,
Okay.
Department of
Mm,
Communication Science in University of Antwerp.
okay.
I am conducting my research proposal under my supervision
Mm,
on my supervisor, Hint Yang. He is an expert
mm,
on health communication, and
mm,
we just come up with the framework together.
mm,
And I have a framework. I just suppose the theoretical framework is stressor string
mm,
outcome model. So I wanted to verify this theoretical model from my 4 research papers.
mm,
So my PhD research basically have 4 papers, and I
mhm,
will to do 4 different kind of research to verify my
mm,
conceptual model eventually.
yeah.
But it's just a research proposal at the start stage. So
Mm,
maybe I will change it over
mm,
time.
yeah. Uh, you are applying natural language processing methods to detect potential mental health issues. Can you share how can this natural language processing method detect mental health issues?
Mm-hmm. So let me firstly make a brief introduction of NLP. I
Okay.
think firstly, I would like to say the principle of language, the principle of natural language processing is
Mm-hmm.
based on statistical modeling and the machine learning techniques.
Mm-hmm.
By analyzing and processing large amounts of text
Mm-hmm.
data, it
Mm-hmm.
extracts linguistic roots
Mm-hmm.
and semantical information and patterns to achieve the processing of natural language. So the core express packs include language models, deep learning
Mm-hmm.
techniques, and pre-training models.
Yeah.
So in my PhD project, I
Mm-hmm.
do different kinds of NLP techniques. First, for example, in my first paper, I do the sentimental analysis. I just web crawl the data from Weibo, because Weibo is an open social media platform. You can web crawl the data openly. And when I web crawled the big data, well, the keywords on Weibo, I can, for instance, I use the keyword flu A, and then I web crawled all of data during the flu seasons in China. And
Mm-hmm.
then I did my sentimental analysis to analysis how the emotions change over time during the flu seasons. So it's
Mm-hmm.
a very interesting approach. You can use the sentimental analysis. Well, NLP is a kind of machine learning, so you can know how the emotions by the public, and also you can see the public attitude
Mm-hmm.
through the flu A event. So,
Mm-hmm.
but we can see basically basically NLP have lots of different kind of methods apart from sentimental analysis. My second research paper, I also use time series analysis, and maybe in the future I can also do a topical analysis to see how the topic shows well big data.
Very nice. I understand that you have conducted 2 studies for your project so far.
Yes.
Can you share what those studies are?
Yes, of course. My first paper, because my research, because my PhD topic is about Chinese Weibo users, their mental health in the context of flu A seasons. So in my first paper, I web crawled the data on Weibo. I use the keyword flu A, and I web crawled during the flu seasons. So it's the flu seasons contains a very long period. It's before the flu outbreak of flu, the flu prevalent period, and the flu that decline, the flu decrease period, and the flu finish period. So I just observe the data and do the sentimental analysis well birth. I found that people's information can categorize 6 different kinds of emotions, which includes sad, happy, angry, fear, surprise, and so on. And we can see different kind of emotions changes and varies over time, which aligns with the flu rates. So it's very interesting findings. And basically, we can see before the flu, people's emotions are focused on the negative emotions, but through the time pass by, the negative emotions, positive emotions, and natural emotions, they consist together. So we can show it's a very complex situation. And furthermore, our emotions also can affected by some external events, such as Christmas holiday, Chinese New Year holiday, Chinese Twin, and the other kinds of external events. So it's a very interesting phenomenon. We can see people's emotions is a complicated issue, and it can be infected by flu and by other events. So in this research, I also applying with the theory, which is social sharing of emotions, because I found that why the emotions can change over time and shows different kind of trend is also affected by the social sharing. People can convince and express their feelings on social media, and it can also impact others' feelings. So it's a kind of a group impact. In fact,
nice. I'm just curious, what was your sample size when you web crawled this data? Are we talking about tens of thousands of text?
Oh yeah, different. For my first paper, I web crawled around, I remember is 50,000 texts. 50,000 texts, and my second paper I web crawled 10,000 texts.
Yifan, what were the results of your studies you have conducted?
From my first paper, I found that people's emotions can change over time, aligns with the flu and the other external events, and people can influence their emotions while the interaction with each other. So that's what I seen previously. For my second paper, I categorize analytic symptoms into 6 categories, and I analysis during the flu seasons how these 6 categories of analytic symptoms changes over time. I found that different kind of analytic symptoms, they are changing over time, also align with the flu A rates. And we can also, I also do a day and night analysis. I found people tend to express more analytic symptoms at the night time, but they cannot so active in the daytime. So that's what I'm finding in my first 2 papers.
Okay.
But as I also told you, for my second paper, I will also do some double checking and do some other keyword texting, so we can see if any other more interesting findings can see well my further research.
Okay, nice. I just want to ask you some personal question. You came from an artistic background.
Yes, actually.
What were some of the challenges you encountered when you switched to the social science research?
Yeah, when you asked me this kind of question, I almost want to cry because, yeah, because now I can very be confident to tell you my research, what I am doing. But when I just see what I had did in the past years, it's really a difficult work for me. It's a hard road because when I was have the artist background, I never know a simple basic social science theories and the methods. So you can see my background. I after finished my master in China for 3 years, I went to Cambridge. I did my second master in UK, but Cambridge is a stage that I begin to know social science. But the Department of Sociology in Cambridge, they only do qualitative research. So all of the professors, they will to do semi-structural interviews, answerography. So when I came to Belgium, I started to study the quantitative research methods. I registered the courses online, and I started by myself to do how to do SPS and R, M plus, Penson, and all of different kinds of research methods. So at the beginning, I feel very difficult, but some 3 years pass by. Now I get, I feel it's easier for me.
Yeah. You obviously worked very hard to learn all these quantitative methods. So, but congratulations for overcoming all the difficulty and challenges. Prior coming to Belgium for your PhD, you were a university professor in China. Why did you decide to pursue a PhD in Europe?
Yeah, actually, lots of my friends, my relatives, and my family didn't understand. They said, you have such a stable work in China, and you have such a stable life. Why you need to quit your job and to chase a PhD in Europe? And there is because before I came, I was admitted to Antwerp. I also have the offer in Chinese University, Zhejiang University, and I didn't need to quit my job. I can do the part time, but I think, truth to be told, why I did this choice, I found it is very valuable because I think many social science schools are originated from Europe, and the social science research, I think, in Europe is very solid. So I think I made great choice. In Antwerp, I think I like this environment. I
Yeah,
like the PhD doctoral training, and I
yeah,
think um, I learned lots of
yeah.
research methods and
Mm,
also lots of theories from psychology and the
mm,
communication,
mm,
sociology. So
mm.
I think in the future, if I got a professorship in China again, I can get a very good job and I can, what's the most important is I can teach my students
Yeah,
what I learn
yeah,
in
yeah,
Europe.
yeah. For sure. Yeah, international experiences, priceless. Uh,
Yes.
uh, what has been your experience in Europe so far? You said you've been 3 years in Belgium.
Mhm. Nearly 3 years.
Okay.
Uh, I found that the culture differences
Mm,
are quite different from China, and I think I am more like European to some extent. Yes, yes, because my personality. I think one because before I come into Belgium, I was also studying in UK. So
mm,
I think I have such a long time studying in overseas, and I didn't tell you during my bachelor and master, I also exchanged to American.
okay.
Yes, and
Where did you
I
go? Where did you
bought
study?
in Boston.
Oh, nice.
And I
Okay.
also have when I was going to UK, Belgium, I also have the visiting experience in Switzerland.
Mm,
So in Lugano. So I think my personality is quite Western country styles.
yeah.
I think the different I can feel that Chinese people is very modest.
Mm,
They are more tend to be low key.
mm,
But I think European here and American, I think they can show their advantages and their performance, their research outcomes. I think I am more kind of like that. I think to some extent you should to show what you are doing, and you can just building up your social network
mm.
uh, from academic. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Ifan, how are you navigating your PhD journey? You almost finished, I guess, a little bit more left.
I hopefully I can finish the next year. PhD, you are doing PhD by yourself. You are not
Mm,
your PhD by your supervisors, by others. So especially we are the person we have already the working experience and we are already faculty
yeah,
before. So
yeah.
I think we are such mature. So we
Mm,
need to have our mature independent thinkings. We are
mm,
before I was did I PhD, I just have a very mutual thinking that what I want to do, and I make a
mm,
discussion with my supervisors,
mm,
and I think for PhD students you must have your uh, independent thinking and you must be very self-disciplined. You need to do everything in advance. For instance, I just tell you for my second paper, I have already finished the manuscript, but I
mm,
still want to recruit the data
mm,
and to see there are some other new findings because I think PhD is a milestone in my lifelong time. I must do the best. So every time I have a meeting with my supervisor, maybe one or twice a week, I always did all my best on my preparations, on
mm,
my test result with him, and then let he to give me some advices. But
mm,
to be more specific, I think supervisors should give you some suggestions in a macro level. But you need to do
mm,
some details by yourself, and you
mm,
need to have a very clear awareness of what you are doing.
yeah.
And I also want to say you ask me the previous questions, how do I feel in Europe compared
Yeah.
in China? I
Yeah.
also have some other thinkings I want to share with you. Is that I when I did my research and studied in China, I think people um, is can do is not such critical. But when I went to UK and Europe, I think critical thinking is very important, especially when I was in UK. I think UK English university emphasizes critical thinking very much. So I think we need to, when we did literature review, when we discussed with our supervisors, we need to have the critical thinking, what we want to do. And if even supervisors give you some suggestions, but if you have your own thinkings, you can make a discussion with him. So I think we need to have the critical thinking of everything in every aspects of our academic life. And I think another issue is that I think the different compared China and Europe is that Chinese people, I said, is very modest and they are not such indirect. So they always see everything very indirect. But when I come to Europe, I found the European people are more direct speaking and communication. So that also influences what I am negative my PhD. When I discussed with my supervisors and my colleagues, I always will see very direct, very frank thinking of myself. So I think it's also a very efficient way to communicate with your colleagues. So you can each of you can show your own feelings, your ideas very indirectly, and in that case, our goal is to have a good publication, to do good research. So frank and direct expressions is also benefit for working.
Yeah. Thank you. Yifan, what's next for you?
uh, Actually, now I am also designing what I am doing for my third paper and even my first paper. But I think you can see I did my first paper and the second paper. I web crawled the big data from
Yeah.
Weibo and to analysis the emotions changes, the posts or the time post or per topic changes over time. But for my next step, I want to introduce the people's interactions
Oh,
with the big data. For instance, I came up with a idea previously. I wanted to see, for instance, during the flu seasons, how people's online social support can affect people's anxiety symptoms. And maybe if I have a first paper, I wanted to develop the mechanism how online social support can affect people's emotions or even cognitions, and then finally impact the anxiety symptoms. So I wanted to do in my next step, if possible, I wanted to try some journals like computers behavior, human behaviors. Is a journal like how the people's interactions with social media and the computer to affect people's feelings and the psychology. So that's what I want to do in my next step for my PhD, because I see previously my stereotypical framework, I would like to use the stressor strain outcome model. So I wanted to know people's stressors, strain, and outcome, how it can validate well the social media use in the flu seasons. And for my future plans, I want also after completing after finish this my PhD project, um, I am not so young as you. You can see, you say you want to finish PhD soon because you are old. Sometimes I also have the age, 90, but I really, I think if I want to be a good scholar, I need to calculate the research outcomes. So if possible, I want to do maybe, um, uh, I want to if I am too old, I will not do postdoc. But if I can finish my PhD next year, maybe I will do the postdoc, or and then I will find a professorship. So that's my future plans.
Very nice. Thank you for your time, Ifan. I wish you all the best completing your PhD and in your future endeavors.
Yes, thank you, David. Thank you for your invitation.